Giving out my man Matt Strickland, owner of Gourmeltz, right here.
All right, guys. We're raffling off this AR up here, guys. And that is courtesy of Be Ready Tactical. Be Ready Tactical. When they come to get them, you can't let this motherfucker go when they come to your front door, man. You gotta actually use it. If they come to get it, you gotta use that bad boy. That's what this is for. All right, folks, let's give away an AR.
All right, to avoid any sense of favoritism, go ahead, Emma, go ahead and shuffle it up. I'm gonna let Emma pick. All right. 814-7079. I can do a ticket validation here. That's the winner right there. Good job.
You know what? I just gave away this firearm here at Gourmeltz. I didn't give it away. I just held it. The good folks at Ready Firearm Tactical gave it away, and Patriot has won this firearm. Of course, all the proper laws will be filed and followed. He's got to go take the FFL paperwork and he can take it to an FFL. You know, firearms, everything's followed.
That was going to happen, right?
So if you ever come to Fredericksburg, Virginia, make sure we're right off of 95, right off the exit. Not even a mile from the exit, so it's convenient for you. If you ever come through Virginia, stop in at Gourmeltz here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and get a little taste of this Patriot Pub, folks.
I am so excited because it looks like Trump's going to win. I didn't think he would win. I think this is going to be very, very interesting because this happened last time. We all thought he was going to win, and then we realized that he lost. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm grateful to be with the National File. I am grateful to be with the founder and the publisher of the National File, Noel Fritsch. I'm grateful to be with Ivan Raiklin. I'm grateful to be with American Patriots in Virginia. I'm grateful to be with Matt Strickland. He kept this whole restaurant open during COVID. And so I feel like this is the place to be because this is where the real people are. We are the real patriots. And we're not just putting on a show. We're doing this because we really care.
All right, so Congressman Ben Cline just secured his re-election with 2/3 of the vote in congressional, in 6 congressionals. It looks like John McGuire is going to pull that one off, but that hasn't been called yet. John, I know a lot of these people, right? Of course. Why wouldn't I?
What do you think is going to happen with McGuire?
John McGuire is going to win by a landslide.
Okay, good. What's going to happen with our guy?
So Anderson, he's down 48.5% of the vote against Trader Vindman, but we'll see how that plays out. It's just past 7 o'clock. We're at 7:47, right? And in Virginia, polls closed at 7. So my confidence level is based on multiple factors. Number one is that all these elections are run on machines, so I don't even know where to start. My confidence level, if it was a free, fair, transparent, timely election, and it was done in a single day, then every voter has access to the same information to make the same informed decision, as opposed to somebody voting 2 months ago. They don't have the benefit of the 2 months, right, of information that has transpired since then. So it's hard to gauge, right? But I'll say that my sense is that Donald Trump, the enthusiasm for him is much more than it was in 2016 and much more than it was in 2020. And you recall that in 2020, he received, I think, 12 million more votes than in 2020 votes than in 2016. And if there's more enthusiasm now, then that means that there's probably going to be much more votes as well. Problem for asking a question of somebody like me, it's a more nuanced answer because our electoral college is what is binding and not necessarily the facade of a popular vote or a machine formulated vote.
Right. So the last time that I spoke to you was at Rod of Iron in Pennsylvania, where you were talking about kind of the contingencies for the outcome. So it almost wasn't even a conversation about who will win, but how will they win, and what will you do about it?
Exactly. So what today is going to inform the country is we're going to see whether or not one of the candidates concedes. So if one of the candidates concedes, then we're moving in the direction of, it looks as though the first phase of the electoral college process is complete. But it still begs the question, will Congress accept that first phase? Because I always say this, the presidency and the vice presidency under our Constitution is decided based on the agreement of state legislatures in the collective and the federal legislature, okay? So it's the interaction between those two and the decision-making between those two. And that's under Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, and then 12th Amendment, and then you could throw in a little smattering of the 10th Amendment in there, but then subordinate to that you have the Electoral Count Act, which some may say that it's unconstitutional, it violates the 12th Amendment, or it can be superseded by Congress because it is a federal congressional act. Is this guy with you? No?
I don't know this.
How you doing, sir? Can I introduce myself? Ivan Raiklin. Who are you with?
I'm just me.
Just you?
Yeah.
Here for the event?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the name?
Dan Abbott.
Dan Abbott. Good to meet you, Dan.
Oh,
What's up, man? How are you?
Hey.
Long time no see.
I do know him.
Where do you know him from?
He just led the formation of the Lynchburg County Militia. Fancy seeing you here.
I know.
I wouldn't have just thrown the camera on a random person's house, but he was wearing a full George Washington outfit with a saber and a flintlock pistol.
I mean, this doesn't sound humble, but let's face it. Back in the November-December timeframe of 2020 and into January 6th, I kind of laid out the constitutional benchmarks of what should take place. And a lot of people, to include, Fake Book, Insta Garbage, Lincoln Project In, and what's the other one? Twitter 1.0, Jim Bakers of the world. They didn't like that I was making those First Amendment sounds that tied back to the constitutional order. But understanding that, I made some First Amendment sounds digitally and physically that ended up, President Trump retweeted, and it created the sequence of events according to the Liz Cheney and Mike Pence's Liz Cheney and Nancy Pelosi's beloved Benny Thompson's January 6th Fedsurrection Cover-Up Committee. They mentioned me in the third hearing. I was so focused on Mike Pence and Paul Ryan's interaction with Mike Pence. I mean, there's a lot here that I don't want to rehash because I've done this so many times. The bottom line is, the same framework applies today. The only major difference between 2021 January 6th and 2025 January 6th is that you have a higher threshold of who needs to object for triggering an objection and discussion.
Because of the Electoral Count Act.
Yeah, the amendment to the Electoral Count Act. So, again, I think I said this off camera. I'm probably the guy that knows the Electoral College and Count Act process and have done more analysis on by state with the interplay of the federal Congress, the legislatures, than Jamie Raskin, Mark Elias, and Norm Isom combined. Okay? Now, people are going to say, no, that's not true, or yes, it is. The only way you know that is you will see this play out. You will hear much more from me as I explain to counter and stop Jamie Raskin's Civil War conditions. So he's advocating for violence, and he's advocated for violence for as long as I can remember. Keep in mind that was Jamie Raskin. Remember his? Have you read his book?
No.
So I've read every single book that has been written by anyone in the legislature, the executive branch, affiliates, witnesses that have written a book about January 6th. And let me just give you a few examples. Liz Cheney wrote a book. Adam Kinzinger wrote a book. Jamie Raskin, Eric Swallowswell, Adam Bullshift. You have Harry Dumm. Remember the U.S. Capitol Police officer? You have, who else? Michael Fanone, right? He wrote a book, Metropolitan Police Department officer. Mark Meadows, Chris Miller, Cassidy Hutchinson, right? So anyway, there's about 22 books or so that have been written by those in that ecosystem. In Jamie Raskin's book, for example, he talks about him being appointed by Nancy Pelosi in the summer of 2020 to war game every single aspect and component of the Electoral College process to make sure that Trump does not win going into January 6th. The primary, alternate, contingency. Remember, as a retired Green Beret, we always, as an officer, one of the things that I'm probably decent at, that I was trained in, is to conduct planning and contingencies for every aspect of the planning, okay? So Jamie Raskin did his little planning exercise at the behest of Nancy Pelosi, and this is directly from his book. This is his words, not mine. One thing that he failed to war game was the wild card, me. Title III U.S. Code Section 12. In 2020, it was December 23rd. That was the Operation Pence card play, wherein when a state runs its election, like we have today, due to COVID measures, right, they called it, well, guess what? You can't run an election outside of the state legislature's law. Because when you do that, that entire election is completely illegitimate, and thus the subsequent electors that are decided based on that illegally run election are thusly illegitimate. So in 39 states, those electors were illegitimate, not just the 6 contested. But when you don't have a contest by any of the parties, then there's really no cause of action to be litigated. But it was still run illegally, illegitimately in 39 states. Apply that to today. If that happens today, then what can happen? A state legislature can step in and say, hey, since Elon Musk is allowing all the fraud to be documented and shared, and thus 600, 700, 800, 1 billion monthly active users in November see this versus the 100,000 that saw it in 2020 to do the censorship, we're in a different position to expose this corruption, right? That will inform the judges to rule in favor of the evidence. That will then subsequently motivate these legislatures, like I talked about in Rod of Iron, like I talked about in North Carolina at the Reawaken, like I talked about and discussed it with the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus at a Lincoln Reagan dinner, Andy Harris. When the evidence is fully clear that, number one, the election officers that were deployed by the Department of Justice to 4 or 5 jurisdictions here, 27 states, 86 jurisdictions throughout the nation, where those federal officers are intimidating people, and it's documented, guess what? They can't hide anymore. Because when Elon Musk does this, boop, he just changes, 50 to 100 million people's understanding of reality. And no one in this illegitimate government has the ability at that level to counter it.
North Carolina is huge. I got to say, I did not expect North Carolina to go to Donald Trump, living there. And I grew up in the Triangle, grew up in Chapel Hill. I call Chapel Hill Berkeley East. the entire triangle is overrun by Muslims and Chinese people, and that is one of the reasons that I moved out. It's like a foreign country, and the Latin Americans. Lee County is approximately 50% Latin American at this point, and I can't imagine the circumstances that would have to exist in the communist Commonwealth of North Carolina, the CCNC, for North Carolina to go so early to Donald Trump. It signals to me that I think we're looking at a wave kind of an election.
In New Mexico, Trump's up by 4.
If Trump wins in Minnesota, that means Royce White.
Virginia, Trump's up by 1.7%.
What if Royce White beats Klobuchar in Minnesota?
That would be fantastic.
Oh my God.
He is brilliant. Have you heard of it?
I love Royce White.
Even if the popular vote in New Hampshire goes to Kamala Harris, it doesn't mean that she is going to obtain those electoral votes. Because you got to remember, right now, the legislature in New Hampshire is Republican majority in both houses. Okay? So if they are motivated by Elon Musk, by Joe Rogan, by Trump, and by Tucker Carlson and others, that Republican state legislature needs to go ahead and look at all the shenanigans, fraud, and the LHS voting systems of New Hampshire, which is headquartered in New Hampshire, by the way, in Concord. Not in Concord, I can't remember the place. But then that New Hampshire legislature could be well positioned to allocate those 4 electors come certification time to Donald J. Trump. Particularly if that Republican legislature retains its Republican majority in this election, and since Kelly Ayotte has been identified as the governor Republican, let's just say we have friends that whisper in Kelly Ayotte's ear, and she could go ahead and motivate that legislature as well to go ahead and nudge them to allocate those 4 electors for, drumroll, the Republican nominee. So stay tuned. We still have a lot of time in the next 60 days. So just keep that in mind, since we just found out that Kelly Ayotte won.
Is it worth doing that even if Trump wins tonight? Like, even if he reaches 270, do you still edge forward for the extra 4?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
North Carolina really changes the game, right?
North Carolina, well, now the North Carolina legislature does not have to exercise its political courage, because it appears as though that legislature doesn't. The Electoral College votes for North Carolina, apparently are going to be going to Donald J. Trump. So even if there is fraud that favors the Democrats, the political will is not going to really be triggered to really do anything with that, other than potentially litigate, right, and just expose corruption. So my proposal to the House Freedom Caucus chairman, it appears as though it looks like it's not going to have to be exercised. But one thing, since we're talking, we're on a break over there, and one thing I also want to discuss is you got to remember the dynamics, and this is where I'm starting to get into a little bit more detailed nuance that I haven't really discussed previously. Keep in mind that if it's not settled tonight,
I'm getting texts coming in from
Virginia, if it goes blue,
celebrating all my North Carolina folks.
New Hampshire now, if it goes blue, we just discussed,
And it is huge.
Nevada, if it goes blue, it's still not in the bag for the Democrats. Why? Because when you match up the Electoral Count Act and the Constitution, when you have a governor that governor is the authority that certifies the electors, right? So when you have a Republican governor in Nevada and a Republican governor in Virginia with a Republican attorney general in Virginia, it's a lot easier to expose fraud that then creates the necessary, I guess, motivation for those two governors to say, hey, Governor Youngkin and Attorney General Jason Miyares, here is the fraud. Why don't you go ahead and lean on the election board, which is part of the executive branch, to have them autocorrect the illegitimate popular vote and make it more in line with a legitimate result to then allocate those electors. Okay? We're not there yet because we don't know yet who they're going to call it for in Virginia, but that's kind of the trajectory of state by state analysis that I've done based on the individuals that could create more a political lean on the outcome of those electors. Because popular vote is only one component. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems like
And the Democrats.
Pennsylvania is close to call right now, but I mean, you brought up the idea of you having to do this on December 1st in Pennsylvania. It looks like it's really close. They have it maybe slightly leaning blue.
Okay, let's war game Pennsylvania. Okay, say Pennsylvania goes Democrat for the presidential. We still don't know. We still have to look at how the state legislature is going to fall. Because in the case of Pennsylvania, that's one of the states that the legislature is going to change over before January 6th, even before the transmission in December 10th and December 16th, I said, on a Twitter space earlier today with General Flynn. And so that legislature could step in. It has from December 1st until December 10th, December 16th, or even January 6th to basically make an adjustment to the quote-unquote illegitimate popular vote for that electoral allocation to be more commensurate with what after litigation, after court. There's a lot of time to make adjustments. And again, it's going to be a lot more free and fair and transparent because again, unless there's a massive outage that takes place by this regime.
Introduce yourself.
Well,
Tell everybody who you are.
my name is Isabella DeLuca. I am a conservative commentator. I was recently arrested in March for being president January 6th. So
Let's be clear, you did not go into the building, is that right?
I was in a meeting room for about 30 seconds. But I wasn't in the rotunda.
Okay. But what's going on with the legal? Do you have a representation? How's that going?
It's going great. So Anthony Sabatini is my lawyer, who's actually in Florida. So shout out to him. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I have another court date tomorrow, so at 11:30. So at that point, we'll go over a trial date or a potential plea deal.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
Well, and you're brave to be out and about, and you're not shying away from it. You're not hiding from it.
No,
Talk to us about what it's been like. So it's been 7-8 now months you've been doing this, or whatever. So what's it been like?
It's been. I will say the first 2 weeks after. Can I speak into this one or this one?
Both.
Okay. The first 2 weeks after I got arrested, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit traumatized. Couldn't really sleep. I was scared that the feds were gonna break into my building while I was sleeping or showering. Kind of on edge. But besides that, I've been in pretty good spirits. I have a great lawyer, and at the end of the day, I'm pretty strong in my faith, and I feel like in the end, God's plan is going to prevail anyway. So I'm not worried. I know I didn't do anything wrong, and that's kind of what gives me peace at the end of the day.
Faux News is saying that they're not willing to call North Carolina yet. That's fine. If they don't call North Carolina, then we're just going to continue to...
Is Decision Desk HQ no longer trustworthy, or... we don't trust Fox. I don't trust Fox.
We are the real independent journalists, and this is the real news. And that's why it's so important that that you watch everything that the National File does, because this is the real news, and we have Isabella, and she's a J6 hostage. We have real people. Nobody has an agenda here. We're all America First.
Are you gonna join it?
And we want to make sure that the political prisoner crisis gets solved by President Trump ASAP.
I'm pretty confident that Trump is going to win. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me right now is hoping that he wins Pennsylvania. Am I good?
You're good now.
Okay. My thing is I'm hoping Trump wins Pennsylvania. If Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania, I think it's going to be really, really hard to win the presidency without that. I think without Pennsylvania, he would basically need to take every other swing state.
Ready? Is everyone in here? Jeez.
We love Ivan. Ivan's real news.
Trump just won Iowa. Trump won Iowa. And Trump is leading by 75,000 votes in Pennsylvania.
The last thing I'll say is,
All right, so what do y'all think about that poll from Iowa a couple days ago saying that Harris was going to win?
we have 1, 2, 3. We have 6 Democrats leading out of the 11 congressional districts. If it stays that way, unfortunately, Virginia will not be in the running to vote for Trump should there be a contingent election. If it stands the way it is. That's on January 6th. That is all.
The Harris campaign is no longer giving comments. Do they know that they're done with?
I don't know. Can we trust Fox News?
And the New York Times is predicting that Donald Trump will win the election. I don't know. North Carolina, Trump is polling at 50%. That's crazy. Kamala Harris is at 48%.
See, we can't call the states because we don't know if they're going to win or lose because they haven't counted the mail-in ballot yet.
California looks like it's going to remain CCP tethered.
216 to 193. Race is changing quickly.
Felicitaciones! Quick, this is big news. So if we win the Senate, the United States Senate, here's what is going to take place. A lot of people don't understand this component. We win the Senate, it is likely that Senator Scott from Florida, what's his first name? Rick Scott is going to be the Senate Majority Leader. On January 3rd is when the new House and Senate start their session, the 119th Congress. On that day, Senator Scott appoints his Senate Sergeant at Arms, who on that very same day becomes the chairman of the Capitol Police Board, and then is in a position to take it to the next level, particularly if we retain the House. That means 2/3 of the Capitol Police Board are controlled by Republicans, and we can now get to the bottom of the January 6th Fedsurrection that was led by Nancy Pelosi in 2021. And so that if you're a January 6th defendant or a family member,
Like me.
should I go rated R? Nancy Pelosi, you're fucked. What does Nancy Pelosi, you're fucked mean? Okay. Here's how it works. If you control the Capitol Police Board, meaning the House and Senate Sergeant at Arms, that means you get to control and observe and monitor every communication within the Senate and House email systems. Blackmail dirt? And you get to control and see all the CCTV footage on the Capitol campus. So if anybody's conducting a transgression, You can look that up. And you can influence how people vote based on what you have dirt on for that individual. That's how the Senate Majority Leader and the Speaker of the House controls votes with some people. So when you control that infrastructure, you now get to control the blackmail leverage game. So I wonder how much we have on Nancy Pelosi through that, and her daughter Alexandra, and her son-in-law, Mr. Michael Voss, and so on and so forth. So that's just the tip of the iceberg insight on what could potentially take place if we gain control of the Senate and we retain the House, thus controlling the 2 sergeants at arms, thus controlling who votes how, and the $7 trillion annual budget. Yeah.
When we take control of the House and the Senate, there needs to be an investigation of Pelosi's husband. Billions of dollars he's traded in stocks.
I have a question.
Directly.
What is the impact of the sentencing that they're about to do on Trump here in a couple of weeks?
Days before Pfizer announced their vaccine,
Trump sentencing.
he bought millions of dollars in Pfizer.
Assuming he wins.
Ooh, great question. So, this election's going on right now, but it only starts the Electoral College process, which ends on January 6th. In that period of time, on November 26th, guess what happens? In New York City, in Judge, what's his name, Mershon? No, Mershon, right? This is the Trump sentencing hearing, right? What do you think they're going to do? What's the range of possibilities? They could put him in jail, right? What stops them from putting President Trump in jail? Nothing, right? So keep an eye on things. It could get pretty interesting.
So for Pennsylvania, the 72% of the vote is in, and Trump is leading by 173,000 votes.
The New York Times is now saying that Trump will win the popular vote. Will win the popular vote. That's the New York Times. Will win the popular vote.
The New York Slimes is saying that Donald Trump's going to win the popular vote.
North Carolina goes to Donald J. Trump. Yeah!
Unconfirmed. Remember, unconfirmed through some decent sources, Trump is about to walk out and announce victory. Unconfirmed.
We are hearing that Donald Trump is going to, we broke it first on National File. Donald Trump, we are hearing reports, Donald Trump's on the way to the Palm Beach County Convention Center, Trump HQ for tonight, and he is going to claim victory.
CNN has called Georgia for Donald J. Trump. 246 right now, according to Criminal News Network, for Donald Trump.
But not Fox. Fox hasn't called it yet.
Huh?
Are you surprised Fox hasn't called it yet when NBC and CNN have?
Keep in mind that Paul Ryan sits on the board of Faux News, and is doing everything in his power to keep your eyeballs on Faux News, to make as much money for them, and squeeze you dry until they have to call it.
All right, the New Hampshire legislature is Republican. Haley Ayotte is the governor incoming. So those 4 electors may not necessarily go to Kamala Harris, depending on what the numbers are at the end of tonight.
This kind of goes to the question I was asking before. I mean, right now it looks like 95% chance Trump wins tonight anyway, right? Like,
Yeah, but I'm the guy that forecasts and contingencies, right?
right. So even if Harris concedes tomorrow morning, do you still have New Hampshire?
I'm going to increase pressure. I want it to be so that there is no opportunity for Jamie Ratskin to have his Civil War conditions. I want it to be so, like today is the start point. Even if it's a win, tomorrow I'm going to increase even more motivation. And that is going to continue to escalate. It's not like, oh, we won, we back off. No, we won, and that's the minimum threshold of political pain that we're going to apply on them. It is only going to increasingly and exponentially increase, because now we're in a position of a mandate to create accountability, and that accountability, we don't wait till January 20th. It starts immediately.
It's a game of hot potato.
1 minute ago, Benny Johnson's Twitter account says, crowd is leaving Kamala headquarters after hearing Kamal will not be speaking tonight. As soon as Trump steps foot into the convention center, I suspect Elon Musk is going to go on a Twitter space, of all Twitter spaces, to announce victory. And the media is not, the legacy media is going to be in no position to counteract that, because there's probably going to be 1 billion people plus that watch this.
I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to see.
Unbelievable. Philadelphia County. Philly was not able to snake it. Those are the snakiest of the snaky criminals.
Newsmax is calling it for Donald J. Trump. Donald John Trump, according to the guy over at Newsmax, who may or may not be a Democrat, who may or may not be ambiguously heterosexual or ambiguously unheterosexual. Nobody's ever going to see this, right? I'm not making any comments about that guy Chris over at Newsmax, but Newsmax calls it.
All right, looks like right now a few sites are calling Alaska for a Trump, which puts him at 270 exactly thus far.
They just switched it to 270.
They did. They didn't say shit about it, but I was watching. 270.
At the end of the day, with Elon Musk, we can go ahead and do the Doge. 90% plus of our District of Columbia needs to be completely wiped out.
Put in water
Phase
slides.
1 is fire them. Phase 2 is we need to have Maryland take back over the territory it lost in Washington, D.C. as part of Maryland.
And Virginia, yeah.
No, there's no more. Virginia already took it back.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did.
So then there is no federal district, and then now they're stuck in, all these federal former employees are now in a state where they can receive maximum accountability within a county or a state. They don't have the protections of a federal district.
And would it be something if Don ruled from Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster?
Winter White House.
And Bedminster in the summer. I'm
going to be recommending it to the entire
Trump
team.
National in Northern Virginia. Play some.
shit in America. We run this shit.
It's amazing. There's absolutely fear of retribution, of accountability, of justice being served. They're scared.
Who wants a department of retribution? No one? Who wants a department of accountability? Well, either way, it's coming. I shouldn't say it's coming. It's already here, and now we're going to build it and staff it up even more.
There will be accountability. There will be retribution. Justice will be served.
They better start running. They know it. You better find a country where there's no extradition laws. And good luck, because it doesn't matter.
Now the work begins. I got that list.
I gotta get back in shape.
You are in shape.
Yeah, but I need to be in shape.
You are in shape. We have to make sure Jamie Raskin doesn't try to stop the certification.
Hey, Matt, look, hey, Barrett is literally going to be the...
Notice how Jared Kushner is not there.
Let's go. Let's go. Turning the camera on forward. Let's go.
These are our friends. We have thousands.
Too big to win, baby. Too big to fucking win.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen of the country, for your family.
You guys did it. You did it. Who's us? Right here on this side of the bar. You were voters in North Carolina. No big deal. Tar Heels.
Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
It's like a rap song now. He's just like naming states with a rap song.
They helped so much.
It's like a Nelly. It's like a rap song by Nelly.
I want to be the first to congratulate our great, now I can say, Vice President-elect of the United States. And his absolutely remarkable and beautiful wife, Usha has. And the danger was unbelievable. And the people from North Carolina came to me and they said, would it be possible, at all possible, for you to speak to Elon Musk? We need Starlink. I said, what's Starlink? It's a form of communications. I called Elon.
What's Starlink?
And I'll tell you what, it was really interesting. We died. They had no communication. All the wires were down. I called Elon Musk. I said, Elon, you have something called Starlink. I said, all right, yes, I do. What the hell is it? He said, it's a communication system that's very good. I said, Elon, they need it really, really badly in North Carolina. Can you get it? He had that there so fast, it was incredible. So, and it was great. It saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. But he's a character, he's a special guy, he's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have to. I don't know what it is, but it was good. We have to protect our super geniuses.
Because we have to protect our geniuses. We don't have any other business. We have to protect our super geniuses.
3 shots. Let's get it on, baby.
Historians, I want to thank you. I will not let you down. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Any parting words? And now the work begins.
We now escalate because tomorrow is already today since we're after midnight. Remember I said that if the results weren't in by midnight, then people were going to scrutinize things. Remember that big truckload that came into Philadelphia? So many people started reporting on it. I think they did next time.
Retribution. Retribution. The cockroaches scurry. They seek the dark. We shine the light. We stomp on cockroaches.
December 10th, America's Future is hosting an event. And it sounds something like this. America's Future Champions for America Celebration Gala at Mar-a-Lago, featuring Tucker Carlson, Kid Rock, hosted by America's Future Chairman of the Board, General Flynn. I will see y'all there. And Elon Musk just might make a cameo appearance.